Hello again. Website publishing. We want to know what is the object of a publishing process. We need to know that publishing process is to ensure content is created, reviewed and approved in a controlled manner. Okay, we have to make sure that that is paramount to the task itself. A typical process of this type could reflect the following steps. Okay. So basically we have different roles. We have a content contributor, we have a editor, and we also have a legal or regulatory reviewer. Now each one of these roles, or there may be two roles within one, we need to know why a content contributor could be assigned certain tasks. Okay, now a content contributor's role in detail would be to produce the content is produced by a content contributor. So the content is produced by the content contributor in accordance with the stipulations of a briefing document. So whatever's in that briefing document, yeah, it has to be produced in accordance with what's in the document. Okay, now as for the editor that I've just mentioned earlier on, what's the editor's role in this case? Well, when received by the editor, so when the editor actually receives the content, he reviews it and makes whatever changes are necessary. So his job is to review the content and make whatever changes are necessary. Okay, now as for the legal regulatory reviewer, his role when approved by the editor, so this is the next phase, from the editor, when approved by the editor, what does he do? The legal regulatory reviewer, the completed content is then sent for legal regulatory review. So now the question is, why the regulatory review? Okay, then obviously this will move on to the designer and the developer in this case. Okay, so following the regulatory clearance, so regulatory review has to ensure that it gets cleared. Okay, right, so the legal aspect has been completed. Okay, so legal regulatory clearance has actually been done. Okay, so what needs to be done next is it needs then to be prepared by the designer and the developer. So now we need preparations to be implemented by the designer and the developer. Now following that, we have to revert back to the editor. Okay, in this case. Okay, so when the content is complete, okay, so the preparation work has been done by the designer and the developer. Now we have to review the content once more. Now who reviews the content once more? It will be the editor. So when the content is complete, it is common for the editor to have a final review. So that's quite common, we know that. Okay, so in the case of sensitive items, homepage, the website management team may wish to clear changes before they go live. So just to ensure that everything's okay, and they have to clear them changes. Okay, now then we move on to the developer. Okay, we move on to the developer, and the content is then returned to the developer, who places it on the live website. So the responsibility of the developer is to ensure that it gets placed on the live website. Okay, right, so it's returned back to the developer, who places it onto the live website. Okay, now we have an additional step, and that is when the content then is live. Okay, what the editor does again is he conducts a final review to ensure it is presented as intended. So he has to do final checks to make sure that it is presented as intended. Okay, So there are several benefits to such a system in this case. These include these several benefits are: it prevents unauthorized content being published. So we do not want content that is unauthorized to be published. Okay. It allows work to be monitored and scheduled more effectively. Okay. So we need that monitoring and we need that scheduling, yeah, to actually be applied. It also publishes and anticipates the stages through which work must pass before going live. So we want to ensure that we go through these stages, and it helps us go through them stages. Okay, this helps shape expectations about how soon items can be expedited. So this allows publishers to anticipate the stages through which work must pass before going live. This helps shape expectations about how items can be expedited. Okay, it has the knock-on effect of encouraging content contributors to produce better quality content. So it encourages the content contributors to actually produce better quality content, and that is what we need. We need better quality content, as they know it will be reviewed before being published, released. Okay, so the publishing resources is that each member of a website publishing team needs some form of toolkit to help them produce good content. So what is this toolkit that we're looking at the moment? Editor's Publishing Pack. The Editor's Publishing Pack contains all the resources required to ensure rules for language. We need rules for language, style, design that can be properly adhered to. These include website standard. So we need a website standard, website style guidance, company policies, organizational identity manual, a dictionary, a thesaurus, and a grammar guide. Okay, these are some of the items in the toolkit that will be definitely useful in this these types of projects. So the Content Contributors Publishing Pack generally contains all of the same elements as the Editor's Pack, though some may be abridged form only. Legal Reviews Publishing Pack. This consists of extracts from legislation and regulation, as well as a collection of company policies against which web content must be compared. Designers Publishing Pack. These will include library of images, typefaces, audiovisual material, as well as the design software needed to develop them. That will be in the toolkit of the designer. And Developers Publishing Pack will contain the software needed to create and edit website code. I hope this has been somehow useful in terms of trying to understand the website publishing process, and once more, this is paramount to publishing websites, to understand what the roles are and what are the descriptions for each role, and how to go about publishing a website, going through a system. I hope this has been useful to everyone. Thank you very much and take care. Bye bye.